Good morning, spring football fans. How you doing? Well, first of all, congratulations to Darius Victor, running back of the Memphis Showboats, for being named Sportsman of the Year. Of course, Darius Victor, I take pride in that because Darius Victor was a running back for the New York Guardians back in 2020. He was also running back for my New Jersey Generals of the old USFL in the year 2022 and 2023. So to see Darius Victor get that award, it was great to see. Congratulations to him. And now let's move on. Now I know Coach Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions said I think it'd be great to make the UFL a minor league system for the NFL. Well, listen, as long as the UFL, I mean, pretty much is anyway, unofficially, but as long as the UFL is owned separately from the NFL, we pretty much already are. Now, if he suggests the NFL take over the UFL, I'm against that because we've done that experiment not once but twice. Anyone old enough to remember back in 1992 and 1993, the World League of American Football, a 10-team league owned by the NFL owners, it didn't work out very well. The concept was great. I liked it. I loved that league very much. But it didn't work out. And once they saw that the attendance was better in Europe, they tried going with a 16 NFL Europe League. When they brought it back the second time around. And financially, it still didn't make any money, and the NFL owners eventually ditched it. To them, it was like a toy. They handled it like a toy. I didn't think they take it seriously enough, and that's the reason why I would never want the NFL to own the UFL, because they would run into the ground and get rid of it. As long as it's individually owned, the league has a chance. And we're pretty much already the minor league system for the NFL anyway. Because The Rock and Danny said it, and so did Vince McMahon, and everyone else said it. We're trying to give an alternative football league to get people more football so they can get to the NFL. So that's not a big deal. Now on to bigger things. We're pretty much almost 2 weeks into this thing where, let's face it, it was most likely a disgruntled employee that said this crap. I mean, unauthorized speculation, that's not even a term or a word. Who could authorize speculation? But hey, let's move on. Still nothing from the league, and then whoever this disgruntled employee was, they really threw him a curveball. And if you know if it's a disgruntled employee, fans, don't give up on the league. Now, for all you people saying, he's a DC Defender fan, he has his team. It's my 13, folks. I was a Guardians fan back in 2020. If you go further down my videos, you'll see I reported, I was a season ticket holder for the Guardians. I went to their events. I went to their training camp at West Point where Army plays. I was a diehard. When they went out and I got the Generals, I started rooting for the Generals even though they were playing the hub. Then once they went, well, you know what? Here's my third team now, the Defenders. Because they were the closest team to me, and about 5-6 hour drive, I can get to see a game once or twice a year. But as my friend Brett Tia said last night on the UFL fans page on Facebook, I'm going to reiterate a whole bunch of things he said. Since he's a Southern boy, I'm a Northern boy. There's a lot of stuff me and him are eye to eye on. So this is not a regional thing. This is not a USFL versus XFL thing because we're one league thing. This is a UFL thing. Get that through your heads. First of all, if they move the Michigan Panthers and the Birmingham Stallions, it would be a terrible mistake. Moving the Birmingham Stallions is like the equivalent of the Houston Comets of the WNBA going belly up when they won their first 3-4 championships. The fans in Birmingham will come out. You got to start the league in February. I'm going to say I did my Facebook live video on the UFL fan page. Be bold. Start the week between the UFL, the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. And Fox, who owns this league, should be marketing and advertising the crap out of this league. And the NFC championship game. Hey, football's not taking a week off next week. We start the UFL. Whether they want to do a Friday night game again, or a doubleheader, or on Saturday and Sunday, or whatever, those 3 days, you need to do it. That's the way they advertise it. And ESPN should be doing the same thing on their coverage of the conference championship games the week leading up to it. Program the hell out of the UFL on your football shows. Don't have football go away for 7-8 weeks and expect people to come back when they've already got into March Madness, the end of the NBA, NHL regular season, and baseball, because of the series in Japan, now kicks off in the end of March. So starting the league at the end of March is a terrible idea. And if you're going to relocate teams and do expansion, you have to do it based on when you're going to start the league. If you go by my advice and you start in February like we all want, well, maybe keeping a team in Houston is a good idea, because the weather in February, March in Houston is a lot better. Same thing with Birmingham. Go look at XFL 2.0 and how well the Roughnecks did. Now, granted, they had June Jones, PJ Walker, and some beautiful uniforms, which they all should bring back. Bring back the 2020 uniforms, bring back the run and shoot, and give the fans what they liked. I mean, we went from June Jones to Texas native Wade Phillips to Coach Johnson. And it hasn't been pretty. Let's just face it. Birmingham, the Birmingham Iron on the AAF, the Birmingham Fire on the old WLAF did better attendance. Why? They played in February. The weather is very tolerable. I will say it again. I remember going to a Yankee Marlins game in June. 3-game series in June. The night games were on the tough side, but that was night game. You could get through a night game. The Sunday day game at 1 o'clock was brutal. And Brett Tier said it last night. People are looking for shade when it gets that ridiculously hot. Now, they won't do that at Alabama-Auburn game, where Alabama and Auburn has been around for 100 years. People are willing to sit through it. And let's face it, there's nowhere for those fans to go if the stadium is sold out. But usually, in the beginning of the year, Alabama and Auburn usually play crappy teams they get beat. So the people who can't go to a game because it gets real expensive, those are the games they usually go to. It's like me as a Giant fan trying to get a ticket to the Cowboys against the Cowboys, Redskins, or Eagles. They're ultra expensive. As a family man, do I really want to pay that money? I can just sit home and watch the game. I'll pay that money when they play an AFC team that's not a big rival. And the way things are still very pricey right now, yeah, it's an issue. But you cannot do relocation or expansion until you give us a set time on when you're going to start every year. Don't say, oh, we're going to start this time this year, this time next year. Start after the Super Bowl, or like my suggestion, in February, and keep it that way. This way, maybe you give Memphis another shot at it because the weather's going to be a lot nicer. Same thing with Houston. I would suggest maybe moving, if you can, move the Roughnecks to Shell Stadium, the MLS stadium. Move the Texas Renegades. Well, if you're going to start in February, Choctaw Stadium may work. But I will reiterate something else again. There's a reason why the ballpark in Arlington as a base stadium was an absolute beautiful place. The reason why they got rid of it after 10 or 15 years, not because it was crap, but because it was just too deathly hot for the fans, and they built a indoor stadium right next door. And the MLB is an established league, but the Rangers listened to their fans. They had to bite the bullet. Ugh. We should have put a dome on Arlington Stadium. Hey, we need another stadium if you want to keep a baseball team here. And they did. And as far as relocating a team in Orlando or Tampa, if you're going to do that, then you need to start the league in February anyway. Because you're just going to have the same problem in a different city if you start at the end of March. And if you do start the league in February, like we're telling you to, then you can't consider Boise, Idaho, because the weather in Boise, Idaho is brutal on the opposite end of the spectrum. I will point out the Salt Lake City Stallions of the old AAF. Now, it was fascinating to see football being played in that weather in Rice-Eccles Stadium that time of year, but the fans didn't show up. So until you establish when you're going to start this league every year, that's how your relocation and your expansion has to be based on. And I'm sorry, but you're going to need to stick to MLS stadiums if you can, or dome stadiums. So weather is never an issue. You got to start early in February so you can avoid a lot of these scheduling conflicts like we've had this year and last year. There's no way that the San Antonio Brahmas should have been screwed out of a home game this year. There's no way that St. Louis should have been given an extra home game because San Antonio got screwed out of a home game. There's no reason why the Brahmas had to start the first 4 weeks on the road because of the conflicts in schedule start later in the year. Michigan would not have been able to hold the conference championship game 2 years in a row. Washington would not have been able to do it this year. Now, I know there's some stadium issues going on there, but I'm going to say it again, you can't get rid of the Michigan Panthers. A 40% increase in the Panthers and you can get rid of them, it's a terrible black eye for you. Even if you were to move them to the Eastern Michigan Stadium, which only holds 30,000, the Great Turf, I am not sure where Eastern Michigan is on the map in comparison to Detroit. In fact, let me look it up right now. But to move them to a different stadium, because let's face it, Ford Field's a nice field. And because you play in a dome stadium, whether it's not going to be an issue there. In fact, I would go on to say that the championship game should be held in Ford Field in 2026. The Michigan Panthers fans made a statement. They're into it. Let's reward them. Because let's face it, as much as I love the St. Louis fan base, they flopped the two championship games that have been held at St. Louis. In fact, I didn't think the attendance, although it was a good attendance, it was a consistent attendance, I was hoping that they would come out and bring at least 40,000 at that stadium. They didn't. Sorry, I got a call as I see it. Maybe the novelty in St. Louis is wearing off. I don't know. But I'm not rewarding St. Louis with another championship game. They should be put either in Detroit or DC next year. Or if you move the league to February and you play the game at the beginning of May, I would consider hosting in Birmingham since they've won 3 championship games in a row. Okay, according to this, the Eastern Michigan Football Stadium, which it's a great field, holds about 30,000, is called Ypsilanti, Michigan. I have no idea where that is. But this is what you gotta do. And with Fred Smith being unfortunately gone, the Memphis fans, listen, sorry, but you guys, the first year were pretty good. The second year, you guys are terrible. I know your team wasn't the greatest in the world, but your team wasn't terrible either. I know Ken Wisenhunt made a big difference, and he wasn't there, and he left eventually. If there's one team I'm willing to relocate, it's the Memphis team. Sorry, Bill Alexander. Sorry, Yacht Club. But this is business, dude. It's not personal. Now, where would you relocate him to? Maybe Oklahoma City. Maybe Columbus. They have a MLS stadium up there. I would consider that. If you're going to move him to Orlando or Tampa, you got to start the league in February. And if you're going to start the league at the end of March every year, then you might as well just move all the teams into dome stadiums or move them more up north where harsh weather is not going to be an issue. You might as well move the team then to maybe Oklahoma or Louisville or Columbus then. If this league is going to survive, we have to go through the growing pains as such. All right, fans, let me know what you think. Comments down below what your opinion like to know. Keep the faith. Keep supporting the league. I know there's a lot of potential angry fans out there. I can't blame you. Like I said, I'm on my third team. I've lost 2 local teams, and I'm now traveling 5-6 hours to see my closest team. And listen, I have gear. I got jerseys. I got shirts. I got a hat. I will get championship stuff eventually. Support the league. We'll talk to you later.